And next up on the Ron Johnson Show, as promised, we have NFL safety, first round draft pick, 8th overall to the Dallas Cowboys, Roy Williams. Roy Williams, you've seen Roy Williams all over. He has a ton of highlights. He jumped over and made the tackle on Chris Sims, and that was one of his big highlights. He won some awards. He was the number 1 DB in college football. He's just all over the place. Mainly, though, you might remember Roy Williams also from the horse collar tackle. He changed the game of football. Like Kenny Pickett now has changed football for quarterbacks. You can no longer fake slide. Roy Williams. So every time Harrison Smith gets a flag, blame Roy Williams, people, because Roy Williams is the reason that is no longer legal. But Roy's my boy. We were in the same draft class. I got a ton of Roy Williams stories from the NFL draft. But, man, I just realized today, like it just hit me when I was doing my numbers. This is the 20th year. So this is the 20-year anniversary of our draft class in 2002. Looking at some of the names, man, my teammate Ed Reed, Hall of Famer. But guys we had fun with, man, Quentin Jammer, Julius Peppers, Ryan Sims. I remember big Ryan Sims and Julius Peppers in the hallway, just acting a fool at the Senior Bowl. At the Combine. You got Levi Jones, you got Dwight Freeney, TJ Duggett, Ashley Lalee, Javon Walker. You got Ed Reed, of course, but you got Lito Shepherd, Mike Rump, Jeremy Shockey, all out of Miami. So Miami was kind of the Georgia of our draft class. Georgia this year had a ton of first round picks and a lot of draft picks, but Miami was our group that year. And so looking at the NFL, Roy, and looking at the 2022 draft class of DBs, what's the big difference in, like, mainly let's go safeties, because the Vikings drafted Lewis Cine. Also, there was another safety taken by the name of Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. So he and those two, in my opinion, a lot of people, Ryan Clark was on from ESPN, and he alluded to it as well. They're kind of like the Ed Reed and Roy Williams of this draft class. What's the big difference, though, that they're going to have to deal with, or they have to deal with now, that you didn't have to worry about in 2002?
First, I think it's funny that you didn't mention the quarterbacks that were drafted in our draft. Shout out to Joey Harrington, David Carr. That's so messed up. You left them
They didn't kick it with us, though. When we was, man, when we was out, they didn't kick it with us, man.
They sure they're probably smart that they didn't hang out. Their stock would have probably dropped. No, seriously. And I honestly, I thought it was kind of messed up, like looking back at it now too, that people were trying to make it a controversy between myself and Ed.
Yeah.
And I get the whole hate mail, like, oh, Ed should have went before you. You know what? He should have. Let's be honest. But the Cowboys wanted my style of play, and that was being close to the line and creating havoc. Ed Reed, his stats and his all his accolades speak for itself. I sit back in my back patio, smoke cigars, and I watch Ed Reed highlights at times. You know what I mean? I watch other players, but I just appreciate what other players brought to the game. Like I don't watch an envy. I literally watch like an amazement, because I appreciate everybody's different talents that they brought to the game.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you just hope, one, to get to that level, to the NFL, and two, you just hope to make an impact. And I think I added a extra layer as far as the horse collar and other rules that they deem dirty are defenseless receivers and helmet to helmet and all that stuff. So I felt like I added something, and everybody else will. And the safeties that we're speaking about now, I don't think there's a controversy. I think they're just two different style of players. One's more hard nosed and one's more of a ball hawk. Mm-hmm. And it's the game has changed since you and me have been in. Literally they had 4 different or 5 different variations of what the horse collar tackle was when I played. They said you can grab inside the back of the shoulder pad and bring them down. And then they were like, well, but you can't slide into their legs when you do it. There are so many different variations of how you can do it. You could do it, but you can't do it. And it's just like, it's so frustrating. And But speaking about the safeties, I feel that the game has changed, and it's more conducive for the offense to, get off and, light up the scoreboard. I mean, that's what the league has come. There's no intimidation factors now. I mean, when you have receivers small in stature, no need to name no names because I'm not taking any shots at anybody, but receivers used to be scared to come across the middle back when we played. Like, yeah, I'm probably not going to run that dig route. You know what I mean? Now they run it without even, they have no, there's no fear factor. And, if I come across that middle, I may get hit. Nah, they don't even got to worry about that now, so, and athletes now have kind of adapted to that style of play and letting the receiver get 2 steps, 2 feet down and make a move and then tackle them. So I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Their careers are going to be prolonged, especially with the new modified summer camps and training camps and all that stuff. Because I mean, I heard it's like watered down now. I mean, you can't go full pads 2 days in a row or something. So I mean, they'll have great careers, and I think if they just produce on the field, they're not going to have anything to worry about.
Yeah, right. Well, you brought up a good point. You said that the Dallas Cowboys wanted you, and I think that's the key is looking at the Baltimore Ravens, what they see in Kyle Hamilton. That's what they wanted. They wanted a guy who's smooth, who moves around the field smooth, and the Vikings wanted a guy in Lewis Cine who's going to come up and destroy you. Like he is a heat-seeking missile. He said he wants to impose his will and take the will away from another player. But you brought up a good point, and I thought about this. You said the Cowboys wanted you, and I thought back to who was there and who coached you, Mike Zimmer. So former Vikings head coach, now fired. Players on his exit made some interesting comments, and a lot of players were saying like the atmosphere around Mike Zimmer had become kind of like, not always friendly, not always welcoming or inviting sometimes. And they didn't feel like, they were buddy. And a lot of it was mainly offensive guys. Zimmer, we know Zimmer loved his DBs and whatever. But what was your experience with Mike Zimmer? Like, did you ever feel that way, or were you always like, I know what kind of guy he is, whether he's nice to me or not?
No, it's I love Coach Zim. That's my guy, and he got me, he challenged me just like my coach at Oklahoma challenged me, Mike Stoops. So, I mean, it felt like I went from my situation in college from Mike Stoops to Mike Zimmer. It was that tough love, call you any and every name in the book. But he knew what buttons to push to get the best result out of me. And it's that added pressure as being a head coach from being a DC, and you're kind of shielded when you're a DC because the head coach takes pretty much all the hits. And so if the atmosphere changes, probably because of added pressure got on Zim, and he's scrambling, and it's tough to deal with that pressure when you're the guy, and especially when you're the guy, your defense is playing good, but offense is inconsistent. And so, he's like, y'all need to get y'all stuff together. It's I ain't gonna say it's blame game, but there's a lot of added pressures that it's tough to explain if you've never been a part of it. And I really hate that, Zim got let go, but I get it. If you don't win, you got to go. But I mean, I really feel I'm happy for him because he got to do what he set out and wanted to do, and that was to be a head coach. And so I'm very excited about it. And I mean, he's regardless of him being fired or not, you will never be able to take away the things that he did in the community of Minnesota.
Yeah.
He made, him and his family have done so much for just the city of Minnesota. So just before people throw hate and gasoline on the fire to say bad things, just remember about the people that he uplifted and inspired.
Yeah. And so when you look at Lewis Cine, so let's move forward to the new Vikings regime.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of explained Lewis Cine, his comments to the media were that, he wants to impose his will. Like he wants to come up and make a big hit. He wants to ignite and get everybody excited. Ryan Clark's comment was that Lewis Cine in Georgia wasn't the main focal point because they had so many other dogs on that team. You had Jordan Davis at D tackle, first round draft pick. And so you had, your linebacker, first round draft pick. He had so many top players on that team already. The cornerback, one of the, drafted NFL cornerback. So they had a lot of players. But when you look at Lewis Cine compared to you, and you were, similar hitter, what in your mind advice could you give him for a guy that plays like you?
Cut it loose. Literally, cut it loose. Have fun. Like, at the end of the day, I understand his thoughts as far as, because I think I said the same thing. Like, I just want to suit up and hit people and have fun with a smile. And I feel that he can do that, and but at the same time, you need to understand, like, don't play this game for free. Like, I know you want to impose your will, but at the same time, this league is not the league of the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. I mean, this is it's a new day. You can't be, hitting people like that. And here's the deal. He can kill and crush as many people as he wants. The thing is, how many injuries are those players going to sustain? And when I say that, what I mean by that is he's not going to be able to blow people up high. He's going to have to take them low. And what comes low, you got ankles and knees. And, some people are going to end up being hurt. So he just has to be prepared for that and understand that, I remember Larry Fitzgerald used to say, hey, hit me up high, just don't hit me low. I'll pay your fine. Larry said that. And there's a reason why, because he's trying to prolong his career and keep himself safe. So I'm all for him. I'm all for going out there and imposing your will. I was the same style of player. I wanted people to know who I was, and I wanted them to fear coming across the middle. So I'm all for that. But now, this new day and age, you just need to understand that there's some consequences that come with that. And I hope he's ready. He might get a rude awakening real quick on his first flag, and then a little FedEx comes in the mail.
So when you horse collar, let's go back to that. When you horse collar, it was T.O., I think, was the first one that got it, or the worst one that got it. And I know you guys were boys.
He's not the worst one. He's not the worst one that got it, honestly.
Well, he was the most prominent, the one everybody noticed because he was going to the Super Bowl, blah, blah. Like, that's your boy. Like, how did that for you? Like, being your boy, and then you saw what happened. Like, in your mind, did you even think, like, man, maybe I need to stop horse collaring people?
No, I felt bad because I never played the game to take people out the game. I only played the game to, knock some people out, but not injure them. I never wanted to injure somebody and mess up their livelihood. That was never in my thought process. Yeah. But if you were to play defense, Ron, and you were supposed to try to tackle someone from behind, how are you going to do it? Right. You're gonna reach and try to. I was always taught, bring them down by any means necessary. So I literally self-taught myself how to tackle ever since I've been a kid. Just going through trial and error, trying to tackle the bigger kids. So I perfected a way on giving the illusion that I'm taking one side away and making them go one way, and then I'll just reach behind them and just grab them down. Like, I had it down to perfection. Like, that's why people, he tackles so violent, and once he gets his hands on you, down. That's just what I did. And so so when I did it, when I horse collared T.O., Andy Reid's the one that led the charge on getting that tackle outlawed.
Okay. Well, yeah, so and then now it is outlawed. We've seen it a ton here in Minnesota. In the NFC period, like, I just think it's, you got the Saints, you got a lot of guys that, you got some big hitters. And so, moving forward, kind of, looking at the scope of the NFL, everything you've been through, a fun one to end this. You have some fans and some haters that don't even really realize you're black. And so for those listening on the podcast, this is not the white Roy Williams. This is the black Roy Williams. How fun has that been? Every time North Carolina does something, you get a couple idiots that tweet you and are pissed off at you or trying to, celebrate their team beating you. And then I see you kind of rag with it and keep going. Like, how has that been?
I honestly, it's fun to me. I don't. It's not me. So I mean, you're over here getting worked up about it, and this is how I look at it. It's like I can get upset and send like this is not me type tweet, or have fun with it, and you never know what somebody else on the other side of their phone is going through. So give them a little laughter. It's like I'm not saying I'm a comedian, by no means. I'm far from that. But if I can give somebody some comic relief to ease up whatever they got going on in their day, I'm gonna roll with it, and people are like, there's people that respond like, man, I really needed this laugh. I mean, it's been a hard day. So it's just like mission accomplished. I don't care about that. And I do have fun with it because I think it's real funny that just because there's a check by somebody's name that says Roy Williams, you think that's the coach. If you really look at the picture, it's an African-American guy. So you think Roy Williams is, posting pictures of his players on his profile. Like, come on. But it's I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me none. I don't even post half of the stuff that I get. I even get a ton of stuff on Instagram too that I get tagged in. It's crazy.